Akpabio have scammed Nigerians once again in his desperation to rig 2027 election. After signing the amended Electoral Act to reflect electronic transmission of results, he added a clause every Nigerian must see.
If the electronic transmission of the result fails, if it fails as a result of communication failure, in other words, maybe network or otherwise, and it becomes impossible to transmit the result electronically in Form EC8A, signed and stamped by the presiding officer and or countersigned candidates or polling agents where available at the polling units, the Form EC8A shall in such a case be the primary source of collation and declaration of results.
Share this video and watch till the end. You're welcome back again. This is BVI Channel 1, where we tell you undiluted truth. As Nigerians, the pressure continue to mount for the Senate to reflect in the Electoral Act reform electronic transmission of results in real time, mandating INEC to do so. Now, as the protest is ongoing, they have called for emergency plenary session, where they have now amended it and added it to the Electoral Act. But many Nigerians have not seen the clause this man have added to it. And what is it? That manual result, the manual result sheet would override IREV in case there is any network failure or glitches.
Let me read the motion. His earlier motion, which passed in our last sitting, he has sought to rescind that, that is in respect of section 60 subsection 3. And this is what it is. That the presiding officer shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to the IREF portal, and such transmission shall be done after the prescribed Form EC8A has been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and or countersigned by the candidates or polling agents where available at the polling units, because sometimes you don't see any polling agent. Provided that if the electronic transmission of the result fails, if it fails as a result of communication failure, in other words, maybe network or otherwise, and it becomes impossible to transmit the result electronically in Form EC8A, signed and stamped by the presiding officer and or countersigned candidates or polling agents where available at the polling units, the Form EC8A shall in such a case be the primary source of collation and declaration of results. So distinguished colleagues, if anybody has a counter motion, you move it later. But in the meantime, those in support of the motion as enunciated by Senator Mongunu and seconded by Senator Bamoro, say aye. Aye. And those again say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. Yeah, point of order.
Do you understand what that means? I will tell you. But this is how the whole thing played out. To start with, Abaribe demanded, moved a motion that every individual would vote, not yea and nay.
President, Senator Yaya. My name is Naira Account. Sorry. Please, my order is order 72, Mr. President. What does it say? Read. No. Any senator may challenge the opinion of the president
or the chairman by claiming a division. Mr. President, I claim a division.
In respect of...
We need to vote individually now.
Yes.
That motion.
But surprisingly, the guy just flipped and wanted to withdraw it.
Are you still insisting we vote?
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to withdraw my motion.
But that is not even the case, because after the Senate have agreed unanimously to reflect the amendment, electronic transmission of results in real time, this one they call Mongolu or Mongulo or whatever they call him, this senator that is being used by Akpabio and his clique. If you watch very closely, he's seated very close to the deputy Senate president, and off and on he keeps shuttling between his seat and the Senate president in order to ensure that this man came up with this blatherdash.
To put that aside and then move on to deal with this matter. So we should deal with the matter.
Well guided. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will read again. The motion reads, the Senate recalls that the Electoral Act Repeal and Enactment Bill was passed by the Senate on Wednesday, 4th February 2026. Note that the bill, fresh issues have emerged in respect of Clause 60, Sub 3, which requires consideration in order to ensure the conduct of smooth, transparent, and credible elections in Nigeria. And relying on the provisions of Orders 1B and 52.6 of the Senate Standing Orders 2023 as amended, accordingly resolves to rescind decision on Clause 60, Sub 3 of the Electoral Act, Repeal and Enactment Bill as previously passed, and recommit Clause 63 for reconsideration and passage. I so move.
Good. Now, what are they desperately trying to achieve, which they have done? And I want Nigerians to ensure that the Senate add this very, or make sure that this issue is properly addressed now before they sign it into law. And what is it? Nigerians, let's take into account this salesman post on X platform. He said, go to INEC IRF and check Edo 2024 yourself. When you add the polling units results uploaded in real time, PDP won by over 24,000 votes. Those results are still on INEC's own platform. What happened? INEC and APC allegedly printed two result sheets with the same serial numbers. One sent to the field, another used at the collation. The genuine results uploaded by a presiding officer were ignored, while fabricated figures were used to declare Monday Akpabio winner. Any election reforms for 2027 must make this non-negotiable. No collation unless result 100% match with what's on IREV from the polling units. Anything else is legalized rigging. If you look at some of the results and also the mutilated ones, you can confirm yourself. This manual result, is it this kind of mutilated result that Akpabio intend, they and their cohorts intend, as they have already insinuated in the past, that making it automatic transmission or electronic transmission of results may result or may fail if there is national grid failure, because that is what their intentions are.
Use of electronic transmission, even if it's transfer. But real time means that in over 9 states, where networks are not working because of insecurity, there will be no election result. And nationally means that if the national grid should collapse and no network is working, no election result will be valid. But you see them talking.
Okay, we have seen how many times national grid have failed. They said glitches in the last election. Now the next one will be national grid failure. That will be their next language, in order to use a mutilated result as a replacement for IRF. We saw it happen in the past, and Nigerians must be awake to demand that the irreducible minimum is ensuring that both the IREF and the manual results corresponds. Any mutilation must be seen as a fake and adulterated result and must be discarded, must not be admitted by INEC. Any mutilated result, because their plan is to break down the national grid, pretend that there is breakdown of transmission, and then they will now forward their mutilated or their already written results to INEC, and it will still be, we are at the same spot. We are just merry-go-round after all of this noise. So do not be distracted by going to the street and shouting electronic transmission, electronic transmission. These guys think they are smarter than we Nigerians, and we must point it out very clearly. And that is why it is important, if you are getting this video, keep sharing it to create more awareness. Because this clause to ensure that the manual results will override the IREF if there is a national grid failure is a big scam. They already positioned to rig this election. Their desperation to rig this election is unmatchable. Every one of these, look at the way they voted even in the past.
Because there are no coverage in my village, I vote no.
My name is Naira Account, and I vote yes to Nigeria, yes to electronic voting.
I hereby vote no.
Mr. President, I stand on the side of the people, of Nigerians. I vote yes.
In support of electronic transfer, electronic transmission of results, I vote no.
I stand for the commission may transmit results of election by electronic means.
I support the transfer of results through electronic process by INEC.
I stand to say yes for electronic transmission of election results.
Mr. President, I vote no.
Mr. President, I vote yes.
You see that? All of those APC senators, they are the ones voting against electronic transmission because they know there is nothing on earth that can bring them to power without rigging. And they are trying to do everything possible to ensure they leave a window open for them to use that to sneak in and do the damage. So Nigerians must be aware. Don't be carried away by the news. Oh, they have agreed to sign the electoral act reflecting electronic transmission of results in real time. This clause make a mess of it all. If it is not properly addressed, call your senators, call your House of Rep members, disturb them about this. Let them dot these I's and cross these T's now, because they are in a hurry to do that. If you see what Akpabio, you've heard what Akpabio said immediately after they did whatever they did and formed the conference committee.
You know that this is a matter of urgency. I believe that if you're able to conclude within the next few days or 1 week, the president should be able to sign this amended electoral bill into an act of parliament within this month of February.
You had that. You see how in a hurry they want to, get this thing done with, so that they will keep that window open for them to rig the election. Nigerians must be awake. We must insist that any result, in fact, the manual result must not override the IREF. And IREF or the national grid or whatever, that election should be declared a state of emergency. If Tinubu could declare state of emergency in Rivers State, let there be a state of emergency on national grid. Let there be a national emergency on the election to make sure that nothing breaks down. We don't want to hear glitches again. We don't want to hear national grid failure. We don't want to hear that there is network failure to transmit results. And so therefore, the clause that says that the manual mutilated result that you are seeing will now replace the real result, we must reject it. We must reject it at all cost. With everything we have, we must reject it. Nigerians must be aware of this. And that is why I am recalling and calling everyone to this very issue. I'm calling your attention. Call your senators, call your House of Rep members, call whoever you want to call. Make this the point of duty that this is clarified. Any mutilated result must be rejected, and that is where we stand. We'll continue monitoring them. We'll continue pushing until we get it done. My name is Asuchenot Peters. Please treat this video as an emergency. Start sharing it to everyone before it is too late. My name is Asuchenot Peters, your advocate for good governance. Bye-bye for now.